Let's zoom in on Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. The man is a global brand. He's the original moral powerhouse, peace, humility, and the spinning wheel. His life story is the Hollywood version of sainthood, pure, simple, and universally adored. He's the guy who inspired generations, proving that moral force beats armies. But here we deal in inverse reality. We ask, when a moral icon dedicates his life to truth, what happens to the truths he tries to hide? Spoiler alert, they usually get much weirder. Sit back and relax. Close your eyes and listen a while as I take you through the darker side of a man renowned globally for his unbelievably peaceful nature. We're peeling back the shawl on the Mahatma to examine the spectacular hypocrisy, the racism, the truly bizarre sexual practices, and the stubborn ideological fanaticism that resulted in real tragedy. It's not about hate. It's about seeing the great soul for what he truly was, a man of epic, world-changing light, and a man of spectacular private darkness. We start in South Africa, where Gandhi spent 20 years. This wasn't the heroic battlefield you read about. It was his training ground, and the core struggle wasn't for universal equality. It was to prove to the British that Indians were civilized and belonged above black Africans. Gandhi's writings at the time are not the words of a social justice hero. They're the documents of a blatant elitist. He demanded segregation for his people, furious that Indians were classed with the raw Kafir. That was the actual term he used. Guess the whole all men are brothers thing hadn't made it into his first draft. He described black Africans as savage and only 1 degree removed from the animal. This wasn't a slip-up. It was a core political strategy. He leveraged the racial prejudice of the time to advance his own people, actively campaigning to maintain a racial hierarchy that put Indians on the middle rung, above the local population. The ultimate irony? The figure who would later become a global icon against oppression built his entire political foundation on prejudice and elitism. Now for the part they leave out of the school curriculum. Gandhi's bizarre quest for spiritual purification in his later years. To conquer his own desire, he decided to test his brahmacharya, his vow of celibacy, by sleeping naked with young women. After his wife died, the experiments escalated. He would routinely share his bed with women, including his 18-year-old grandniece Manu. The purpose, he claimed, was to achieve a state of spiritual perfection where he felt zero sexual arousal. But analyzed objectively, the situation is simple. An elderly, globally famous man whose authority was absolute was compelling a teenage relative and other young female followers into a deeply uncomfortable, vulnerable, and disturbing ritual. It's a textbook example of a power imbalance used for self-gratification disguised as spiritual necessity. The fact that his own son and longtime allies publicly quit or protested shows just how shocking this was, even by the standards of the time. The moral giant was revealed to be a figure wrestling with dark, self-serving compulsions under the guise of an experiment with truth. The final piece of this inverted portrait is the man's unshakable, often fatal faith in his own version of purity. Gandhi was an absolutist for his nature cure methods, mud packs, and diet. He viewed modern medicine and doctors as a moral evil, insisting they only masked symptoms and encouraged vice. This wasn't harmless eccentricity. This was a deadly ideology. When his wife, Kasturba, became severely ill with pneumonia, doctors recommended the new miracle drug penicillin. Gandhi vetoed the medicine, trusting his own remedies instead. The result? Kasturba died. This pattern of rejecting life-saving, proven medical treatment in favor of his own rigid beliefs also impacted other followers and family members. He was a political genius, sure, but probably the worst person you could ever have as your personal physician. The lesson here is analytical. When an ideology, even one of peace, becomes so dogmatic that it rejects observable scientific truth. It ceases to be moral and becomes a source of genuine, preventable tragedy. The myth of Gandhi is a simple story of light. The reality is a complex, terrifying human being who wielded both immense moral authority and a chilling capacity for private darkness. He was an expert at leading a nation, but a disaster at leading his own life. We prefer the cold, hard, unromantic truth. If you appreciate the analysis of history's greatest contradictions, hit that button. Stay tuned for more dark breakdowns on historical figures, as well as other dark and interesting things found in the world. And if you like horror video games and are interested in watching me scream like Mickey Mouse occasionally, head on over to my main channel linked in the description.